that's kind of something too, like what happened with Pokemon Go. It was a phenomenon when it first came out.
It was.
Glitches and all, people loved the shit out of it.
Yep.
For 1 month.
Yep.
And then
for basically the summer.
Pretty much. And then after like that month and a half, 2 month period after its inception, like people, like I think they'd said the number of users had plummeted by over 50%. And it's just been downhill ever since, I think. I know I actually don't play it that much anymore.
Yeah, it's never really recovered.
No,
from what it was.
No, I sure as hell haven't opened that damn thing up because it's just like, I think most people just got over it. It's like, it was fun for a little bit.
It was, I was the same way. It was fun, and I was into it for maybe about 2 or 3 weeks, and all of a sudden I was just like, you know what? It's just like,
there's no substance to it.
No, there really isn't.
Like it was cool to see. It was cool to relive it and the excitement of finding something out in the wild.
Yep, that was it.
And it was amazing. But the fact that you couldn't trade with anybody, you couldn't battle anybody else other than the gyms, which at one point the gyms got so ridiculous that it's like nobody, unless you were a hardcore player, you were never beating any of these gyms. And it just got to the point where, and I knew in the back of my head that's exactly how this game is gonna go. You're gonna get those freaks that play it, that quit jobs to play it. And they're going to just build up these gyms to the point where you can't beat them, unless it's by other people who do that, and it just completely destroys your casual gamer base.
Yeah,
and that's kind of sad.
And so people can just move on just like that. And and so how I digressed and got back onto the point of video games is in the last 4 to 5 years, notably, and probably more so in the last couple of years, the price of video games has just gone up astronomically. And I don't know if it's, I mean, it's more than just your basic, oopsies.
Oh, wow.
Damn it.
That was a loss.
It's more than just like inflation or like supply and demand of somebody just like, okay, this game is rare and I want it and whatever. Like there's just gonna, do you think that there's gonna come a point where the prices are so high and people are going to expect like to get a certain amount that they're just never going to get, and all of a sudden it's just the video game market is just gonna completely and utterly collapse?
Yeah, and at least as far as the retro market goes.
The retro market, yeah, because I don't think, oh shit. Yeah, because I don't think nothing's happening to video games. I think video games have cemented themselves in oh shit.
Well, it's one of the biggest industries in the world. I mean, it pushes technology and all that stuff. I think I remember it was maybe Kevin said it to me at one point. It was like there were like 3 things that move technology or move like graphics and technology stuff. It's like, I know games was one. Porn, cinema. Yeah, that might be it. As far like graphics wise, which is really funny to me actually. Now that I think about
porn.
Yeah.
Well, porn is what cemented VHS versus beta.
Yeah. So it's like it wouldn't surprise me if eventually like it. I would almost say like the retro market would end up undergoing a what's the word I'm looking for? Not a restructure, but a reset.
Yeah.
People will realize the price is way too high. It'll come back down, and then it'll slowly
start building back up again. It's like a stock market, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, it's like one example is I'll never forget when so long time ago I had found one of the games. It's a really rare one, expensive Zombie Nation.
Yeah.
I remember finding it at this store in Tennessee, and it was in a bin with a bunch of just random odds and ends video games, and I think I got it for $2.98. Even at the time, it was like only maybe a $15-$20 game, so I mean, it wasn't. It was a good deal that I had found, but at the same time, it wasn't earth-shattering. But now that game is like in the ballpark of like $250, $300, close to
God.
like closing in. And it just gets to a point to where it's like, wait a minute, like, are people going to wake up at some point and be like, wait a minute, 2 years ago I was trying to get this game for $50. Now I'm trying to get it for $200. Like, are people just gonna wake up and say like, nope, that's it, I'm done?
For a game that's not really even that good.
Well,
I remember
it's fun, but at the same time, it is not $250 worth of fun. Yeah.
Then again, Little Samson, I don't even know if that's worth.
And that's another thing too. Yeah, because that game has been going up and up and up. The game is fun, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at this point now, it's so expensive that it's like, I don't know if it's actually worth what it's going for now. Even for how fun it is, like,
wow, that dude
he just completely juked me.
He did. He fucked you.
But yeah, at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's just the cost of getting it is not going to out or
justify.
What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
It's not going to justify how much you want the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I often wonder if video games are going to kind of see that same collapse at some point, or at the retro market.
Maybe.
So.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I know one good example of that. Although that one never really recovered from it, was Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
And you know what? I actually think about that like here and there, just because that game really is an anomaly, because most games, well, they do get affected when they get released on like the virtual console or whatever through like another means. For the most part, their prices aren't really affected. No. Earthbound wasn't affected when that went onto the virtual console. A lot of other games were not were not affected by them going into the digital market. But for some reason, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 went into the digital market, and okay, that's smart. And the game, for some reason, it's never really recovered. Like, one game that actually did recover that was actually affected, Super Mario RPG. Used to be a very expensive game, and then it plummeted in price once it was released on the virtual console.
Yeah.
But within... Serious? Yeah, we're gonna go for it.
Live dangerously.
We're gonna live dangerously. I'm gonna do it. I got
her.
Yeah.
Nailed her.
But that game, within like a couple years, it is now back to where it used to be.
Yeah.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has never recovered from going onto the digital market, and so
I think that one still is only like $15-$16.
Oh no. It's like maybe in the 40s, 50s.
Is
like
it
40
really?
to 50? Yeah. But when you think about how the PlayStation 2 version of it used to go for between 125 to 150, it is nowhere near those numbers, and I don't think it ever will be.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
But at the same time, I don't understand it. Other games have recovered. Why hasn't that one recovered? And now it's kind of become the anomaly of the digital market.
Yeah. That is very odd. I remember GameStop. I think that's where I would see Marvel vs. Capcom 2 all the time, and it was always like $80. And I thought about it too when I would go. Anytime I would see Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii at GameStop. It was a GameStop exclusive game. I think they were the ones that, under its translation or something, somehow they were the only ones that got it. You know, so you could only find this game exclusively at GameStop, whatever. But it was funny because you could, obviously when I bought the game, knew it was $60, like most games were.
Yeah, sure.
But then you go back like a few years later and you see it used and they want like $80 or $90 for it. And it's very strange. Like, I'm like, why? Why would they charge more for it when it's used?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened to Metroid Prime Trilogy. It was the same thing. It's a $60 game when it came out. Now it was $70 or $80.
And that was that's an interesting topic in and of itself, because I've heard that GameStop does some shady things in regards to that, where they will,
I've heard some,
where they'll actually get new product in and actually open it just so that they can sell it as used
for $70.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
exactly.
I've heard that too. Heard a lot of horror stories. My older brother worked at GameStop for a long time. He's never really talked too much about it, but yeah, he said there's some very strange dealings. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose when you're in a market like that,
you
which
sort
is
of,
weird.
Yeah.
Because why would you need to do that when you really have no competition? GameStop, if you really think about it, there really aren't any other stores like GameStop.
No, there's not.
You can go to Best Buy and buy games. You can go to Target, Walmart, wherever, and buy video games. Or mom and pop fucking things like that. But they're really...
But strictly video game dealers like that, no, it's GameStop's the only one.
And it blows my mind that they don't have some sort of... Like, they're under a thing for some sort of monopoly.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of mom and pop stores that we would... Game Crazy was a good one.
Yeah, Game Crazy.
Went out of business.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just nuts to think about. Like, I really can't recall any stores like that. Which is genius if you think about it, because, I mean, selling a used game is pure profit. You know, whereas if you're selling new games, like the developers or whatever still get a cut of whatever it was. You still have to pay for that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but still at the same time, though, GameStop doesn't just deal with used games, and it's not just straight profit. So, I mean, they will buy copies of a game from somebody, and they'll buy new stuff too. And so, if that stuff doesn't sell, then guess what? The check's on them.
Yeah.
So,
but I know the used ones. I mean, you get nothing for it. $60 I spend for a game, and then when I return it, I get maybe $15. It's like it's clearly not the greatest.
Yeah, but at the
lucrative move.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, it's not lucrative for you, but not saying that I'm defending all of their policies, but at the same time, GameStop is a business, and they're not, because they get it from you. It doesn't mean that they're going to put it back on the market for $60.
No,
they're going to be putting it on there for what, 40, 45. They've got to, and so it's like, okay, so they're putting it on for 45. They paid you 15, so they're just going to get double what they paid you, basically. So I mean, it's but it's just one of those things, though, that I mean, I can understand why they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's